More Health continues to provide health and safety education lessons to students in elementary, middle, and high schools throughout Tampa Bay. And since November is Lung Cancer Awareness Month, we thought it was a good time to give some advice on how to talk to our children about lung health. And we're happy to welcome back the Executive Director of More Health, Karen Buckenheimer. Good morning. Welcome back.
Good morning. Thank you.
Everybody in studio, we've had lots of questions on what we're about to talk with in just a moment. But first, this is something so important that you guys are constantly in our school systems and teaching and starting young.
We sure do. We start kindergarten through high school, providing health lessons, safety lessons on many different topics regarding health and safety. So there's lots of important topics that we want children to be aware of.
So when it comes to lung kind of education, what is that message that you go into schools with?
So we go into fifth grade and we teach the students about their lungs and what they do and how they work with the heart and ways to keep your lungs healthy. Asthma was really one of the main reasons we started that lesson because of the large number of students that have asthma. But then we also talk about preventing injuries and diseases to the lungs, which include smoking and pollutants in the air and things like that.
All right, so let's get into it. This is where we have lots of questions, where this is, I think, a new kind of avenue that we're having to teach with our kids about this when it comes to e-cigarettes.
Right, so e-cigarettes is something that's we don't have a lot of research on. We don't know the results of a long-term use of e-cigarettes. But if you look at cigarette smoking, about 90% of those that smoke cigarettes will develop lung cancer.
Wow.
So that's significant. So and it's the most common preventable disease causing death. So what can we do to decrease cigarette smoking? Well, we found that through education, our adolescents, middle, high school students have decreased their use of smoking cigarettes.
Which is good.
Which is good. The bad news is that there's this whole new category of e-cigarettes. E-cigarettes were really developed to help adults wean themselves off of cigarette smoking.
Which seems helpful.
Which seems helpful, but the kids now have grabbed onto the e-cigarettes and they're using them quite often in school and at home and in the community.
And parents may not be too aware. I mean, like here in studio, the adults in here, we had a lot of questions about this.
Correct. So an e-cigarette, the latest one that they're using is called a Juul, J-U-U-L. You're supposed to be over the age of 18 to purchase a Juul. Usually you can get them at the convenience stores, gas stations, things like that. They're expensive. A packet of a Juul is about $40, $50. And then the tip of it is called a pod. And so the size of...
So that's the size of it along with both pieces.
So it's very similar to
realize it was that small.
USB that you plug into the computer. And then the top part is the pod, and that contains...
That's that green and black one right there.
Green and black, and that contains the nicotine. Now the bad news is that that little pod contains the equivalent of 20 cigarettes, the amount of nicotine. Nicotine is very, very addictive, and it's damaging, especially to the growing brain under the age of 25. It's extremely damaging. So the word is out that we really need to talk to our students, talk to our children about the dangers of juuling and using e-cigarettes, because it's addictive, it's expensive, it's very damaging to the brain, and we really don't know the long-term effects.
Because they are so new. As we wrap up, last question here. If parents need to find out more information, what's a good resource for them to do this?
I always look to the CDC as my latest and greatest information, and it was just so interesting. Just the other day I saw in the newspaper a huge ad by one of the juuling companies saying, oh, by the way, our product is extremely, extremely addictive, and so they are even having to start spreading their education. So, but always go to the CDC.
Karen, thank you so much. We always enjoy when you're here. We learn a lot, and thankful for all you do in the community and our schools as well.
Thank you very, very much.